Hi guys and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. My name is of course Cameron and welcome back to day 2. Another live stream. It is the game review I was going to say then. It's not. It's the instant match reaction. That obviously isn't very instant. I do apologise about that one. Fulham 0, Everton 0 yesterday at Craven Cottage. As I said, apologies that this video wasn't out last night directly after the game. I had a few things going on after the game and unfortunately wasn't able to sit down and do this reaction. But it is the instant match reaction. A goalless draw at Craven Cottage last night in a very hard fought point taken for Frank Lampard's Everton side. Always going to be a difficult game. Fulham are in good form at the moment and play some really, really good football under obviously former Everton manager Marco Silva. And going away from home to any team in the Premier League is a task, as we all found out last season. Everton only managing to pick up 2 wins away from home in the entirety of last season. This season, of course, we've got 1 already, but we know going away from home is notoriously Everton's Achilles heel, and especially going away to a side like Fulham, who have got quality in their team, who have got ability going forward, who have got a centre forward who puts himself about and, frustrates defenders and, can get opportunities himself. I think I read a stat yesterday after the game that performance by Alexander Mitrovic was the first time, I think it was, a Premier League forward this season has had 10 shots in a game and not managed to score one or not managed to get one on target or whatever it was, which is quite ironic because Alexander Mitrovic shouldn't have been on the pitch from about half an hour onwards, considering he put in what is the most blatant red card challenge I've seen all season. But of course it wasn't given because it was against an Everton player. Had it have been against a player of a certain other team, it would have been given, but because it was against an Everton player, it wasn't given, which is, just the norm now, isn't it? Whether it be Mitrovic, whether it be Jordan Ayew, whether it be Van Dijk, whether it be whoever it may be, you can put any challenge in on Everton players and you'll get away with it because it's only Everton. The referees in this country are an absolute embarrassment to themselves. They're an absolute embarrassment to themselves, and they should wake up of a morning and look in the mirror and be ashamed because they're just a disgrace. They're an absolute disgrace. I think one thing that was absolutely proven to be the case yesterday is that VAR simply isn't working, because how VAR hasn't had an in-depth look at that and decided it's a blatant sending off, I will never, ever, ever know. It's either not looked at it, which tells us there's a problem, or it's looked at it and decided that a yellow card would suffice, which is funny because I've seen challenges that are nowhere near as bad as that over the last couple of weeks, but they've been on players that play for Man United or Liverpool or Chelsea or City or whoever, and they've resulted in sending off. So, again, had Mitrovic have been rightly sent off, it would have been, it may have been a different story, it may have been a different outcome, but I thought it was a hard-fought point for Everton Football Club, and listen, I understand why there was a little bit of frustration, because I think there was certainly times in the game that Fulham were there for the taking. I think there was certainly moments in the game where you looked and you thought, right, we can get at these, and I said this going into the game and I'll say it again, and it's by no means any disrespect to Fulham, but Fulham have got a lot of quality going forward. Fulham can hurt teams, Fulham can break teams down, and they did it yesterday. There were long periods in the game where they were the team on top, they were the team pressing, and Jordan Pickford was absolutely, fantastic, and the 2 centre-halves, Conor Cody and James Tarkowski, again, were absolutely faultless. I thought Vitaly Mykolenko was great again last night. Seamus Coleman done well, and then when Nathan Patterson come on, I thought he performed well as well. So there were definitely moments in the game that Fulham were the team on top. Fulham were the team that looked like pressing for the goal. Fulham were the team that looked more likely to score. But there were also periods in the game, especially in that first half, where Everton had opportunities that I think we should have done a little bit better with. Dominic Calvert-Lewin has a really good one where Damari Gray swings a great ball in, and Dom just can't seem to get a clean connection on it. And even if Dom doesn't get any connection on it whatsoever, you've got Anthony Gordon waiting at the back post to sort it out. And says thumbnail says preview, mate. I'll sort that after, mate. I can't sort it live because the YouTube app on the phone isn't very good. We had James Tarkowski who had a header in the box, which again, okay, he's a centre half, and Tarky's been absolutely fantastic this season and was absolutely brilliant yesterday. But a free header in the box, I think he probably should have done a little bit better with. Connor Cody had one where it felt him at the back post and he hit it on the volley, and, had he have not side foot it, maybe put his foot through it, we might have got a different outcome. Gordon had one which he blasted over the bar. Gray had one which he blasted at the goalkeeper. So we had opportunities as well. And, we had chances to get something out of that game. And, listen, as football goes, sometimes you don't take those opportunities. And, I understand people saying, but, Fulham had 24 shots on target. Fulham were the team that were constantly getting at us. Fulham were the team that were pressing at us. Fulham are the team that have put 4 goals past teams this season. They were always going to have that attacking threat. They're in good form. They're coming off the back of 2 straight wins, I believe, and the confidence at the moment of Fulham is through the roof, because Fulham were a team that a lot of people, and maybe even Fulham fans to an extent, but certainly a lot of outsiders, expected to go straight back down this season, and expected to go straight back down without any real fight or without any real challenge, just to sort of wilt under the pressure of the Premier League and be relegated as they've done in previous seasons. But that's not this Fulham. This Fulham is much better managed by a good quality manager. This Fulham have tactically seem to be a lot better. They've definitely got quality going forward, and defensively they, I think that's where their weakness is, and Everton unfortunately couldn't exploit that yesterday. And this is what I'm saying with the lack of quality. And we sat here last week and we bigged up the quality in the team and how we managed to completely wipe the floor with Crystal Palace. But I remember sitting here saying, let's not get too ahead of ourselves, because this is a team that we all know is still lacking quality going forward and consistency going forward. And we saw that yesterday. I thought Anthony Gordon was nowhere near what he should have been. I thought Damari Gray was nowhere near what he should have been. Okay, put a couple of decent crosses into the box, and if one of those goes in, it's a different story. But at the end of the day, I thought the pair of them weren't particularly great. I thought Dominic Calvert-Lewin wasn't great yesterday. Offside far too many times in easy positions. I mean, Dominic Calvert-Lewin put the ball in the back of the net yesterday. Put the ball in the back of the net from a situation where he was offside and he should never have been offside. Had he have maintained that run or held that run a couple of seconds, Dominic Calvert-Lewin would have been onside and would have still gotten that opportunity, would have still gone one-on-one with the keeper, would have still put the ball in the back of the net ultimately, even though we should have put it in the back of the net at first chance. But my point is, it's not like he only scored that goal because he was offside. He wasn't. He was offside by a couple of inches or whatever. But had he have held his run and looked across the line and been a little bit more clever, Everton would have been 1-0 up. And listen, as I said, they've put some maybes. Had Jordan Pickford that have not made a couple of brilliant saves, then Fulham would have scored. Or had Connor Cody not threw his body on the line and 1 or 2 times, they'd have scored. And we can all sit here and say, what if? But the reality is again, it's small margins. And for me, your centre-forward, your Premier League experienced centre-forward, who people are talking about potentially going to the World Cup if he can maintain his fitness, you can't be offside in situations like that. I thought the midfield were a little bit less involved yesterday, as they have been in recent weeks. I thought Amadou Onana was nowhere near as impactful as what he has been. Same with Garner Gay and Iwobi to an extent as well. Listen, Iwobi's work rate was phenomenal as always, and maybe Iwobi fell victim of everybody else being a little bit under par and therefore his performance taking a hit. But usually you're seeing a lot more of Alex Iwobi. He's a lot more involved. He's battling a lot more, and don't get me wrong, I thought he still probably was Everton's best player yesterday. Well, he definitely was outside of that back line, but again, wasn't involved as what he has been. And in games like that, when you have a distinct lack of quality going forward, and it becomes quite evident that your wingers aren't having a particularly great day at the office, and your striker is offside at every chance he gets and not particularly doing much either, it's all about staying compact. It's all about staying resilient. It's all about staying tough at the back and ensuring that if you're not going to win the game, you don't lose the game. James Garner made an absolutely wonderful tackle when he come on, just to completely change the direction of a Fulham cross, which would have absolutely ended up in a goal if he doesn't get the touch on it. And he was in there doing that. So I get the frustration, and I get that people look at Fulham, and I probably had a little bit, I could be accused a little bit of this before the game. leading into the game, and you look at a team like Fulham and you think, well, it's Fulham. Fulham aren't a particularly great side. They've only just come up. This is a team Everton should be beating. We've just beaten Crystal Palace 3-0 at home, so we should be able to go to Fulham and win convincingly. But it's not the case, and I think what we should do now when comparing Everton to teams like Fulham and in situations like this is, how would this game have panned out last season? For me, we'd have lost this game inevitably last season. We'd have lost it because let's look at just the personnel in the starting 11, for example. Well, we wouldn't have had James Tarkowski and Conor Cody in there because they weren't Everton players. We wouldn't have had Yerry Mina because he's out injured. So our defence would have consisted of Michael Keane and maybe, I don't know, Mason Holgate, because Ben Godfrey's still out injured. We'd have lost that game last season, and we'd have probably lost it comfortably 2-3-0. We wouldn't have had the midfield that we had, so we probably wouldn't have battled as much as we did, even though, as I said, I think Fulham were a better team yesterday. So if these are games that last season we would have lost and we're getting points out of, it's not necessarily the worst results. And, my dad used to say to me growing up as a kid, if you can draw all your away games and win all your home games, you'll win the league. And I know, obviously, Everton aren't, in a position to win all of our away home games and draw all of our away games. I get that. But the overall point is, a draw away from home isn't the worst result in any game. Against a team that are on form at the moment with a lot of attacking quality, as they showed, Fulham got a point against Liverpool, and I know Liverpool aren't in the best run of form at the moment, but that was on the opening day of the season against a Liverpool team that had just been to a Champions League final and lost the league by a point, and they managed to get a point there. For me, I think my disappointment yesterday was that we didn't do enough to try and attack their weakness, which is their defence and their defensive ability, and we should have with the players we had on the pitch. Considering it was the same team that started against Crystal Palace and, we're dominant against Crystal Palace, we should have been able to do a lot more to get at Fulham and to give them a problem. I think Fulham's attack gave our defence much more of a problem than we gave their defence, and that was where the disappointment comes in. Not that we've drawn away to Fulham, because, as I said, they're in good form and they're doing really well at the moment. It's more that we didn't. I don't think we got at them as much as we probably could have. Certainly not that defence, which is susceptible of to making mistakes and conceding goals. But again, we're away from home. It's a point. A lot of teams won't go to Craven Cottage and get points this season. A lot of teams will go to Craven Cottage and get points this season. And Kev says hanging on for dear life at Fulham. But Kev, this isn't Everton of the 80s. This isn't Everton of the mid-2000s where we'd go and win against teams like this, where you'd expect Everton. This is an Everton team that barely survived relegation last season. An Everton team that have just managed to defend really, really well against a side that had 25 shots on target or whatever it was. I'm not saying we should be happy. I'm not saying we should be over the moon. I'm not saying we should be excited. But what I'm saying is, sometimes with these results and these performances, you have to put things into a little bit of context. And I will go as far as to say, I think if this fixture was reversed and it was Everton at Goodison yesterday, I think we'd have beaten Fulham. I really, really do. But we all know that Everton have got, for whatever reason, we're a completely different side when we go away from home. And it's a completely different dynamic. And ultimately, I think a point yesterday, given the outcome of the game, wasn't the winner. And again, I'm not saying we should be happy with that, because I agree. I think Everton should have done a lot more to target Fulham's defence. I really, really do. I'm not surprised that Fulham had the chances that they had, because they're a decent side. Again, I think our midfield was a little bit absent. I understand that. But I just take everything in the context of what last season was, and I honestly think we'd have lost this game quite convincingly last season. I really, really do. And we hung on. Yes, again, hanging on to Fulham away. It sounds awful, and the media will love that. Everton hang on against Fulham away from home. Let's look at it as Everton are resilient, battle, work hard, defend well, fight, and get a point against an informed team away from home. We now come away. We play Leicester at home on Saturday, which we all expect to win. Or Saturday, and we all expect to win. And then, we go into the two Bournemouth games before the break, again, hoping to get a win in the Cup and a win in the league. And then if you come away from Fulham Palace, Fulham, and and Bournemouth with 7 points and a cup, and Leicester, with 9 points, 10 points and a win in the cup. I don't think it's that bad of a result, to be honest with you. Again, I get it. I get that, we should be expecting more. We should be demanding more, and I get that, on the surface of it, you'd look at the stats and go, "Oh, we were battered there." But again, I thought we were resilient. I thought we were tough to beat. No question that the forwards, I thought Anthony Gordon was really, really poor. I thought Damari Gray was, I'm not going to lie, I thought he was poor. Yet he put a good cross in for Dominic Calvert-Lewin, but other than that, I thought he was abysmal. I thought Dominic Calvert-Lewin was abysmal as well. So when we've got no attack, and when you can clearly see that the attack aren't going to do much in the game, it's about then not losing that game. And that's what we did yesterday. Listen, I understand the disappointment. I understand the frustration, but it's a point. It's a point away from home, and we put it in the bag and we go again for me. Anyway, we are going to find it. We are going to leave it there. If you have enjoyed this one, please do leave a like. We will be back with the play ratings in just a moment, so don't forget to look out for those. If you're watching the YouTube video, leave your thoughts down below. If you have enjoyed this one, as I said, please leave a like. Subscribe to the channel if you're new as well. Sorry that this one is late. I do apologise. But yeah, we're back. Big thank you all for watching, and we'll see you later.